is a review and approval of meeting minutes. Do we have those minutes available, Glenn?
Yep.
Okay, are there any comments?
I don't know.
Nope, I'm good.
No comments myself, so I would like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
I can do it. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 20, 2021. Regular session.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And
Do
then
I need to do? Sorry. Yeah, the June one as well. Do I make a separate one? All right. I apologize.
Okay.
I make a motion to also approve the meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2021, regular session.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Expense warrants. Glenn, do we have any expense warrants we need to come and sign?
Yes, there is one set. Ernie signed one today, so I need just one more, either Kripani or Brian to come in. So.
Okay.
Let's see. We do have a 6:15 appointment for our review of the draft sewer regulation. So, do we have is our 30 Sand-Dollar Lane? Is that a 10-minute item, Glenn?
There's no one here to represent it right now. I would expect that.
Glenn, I'm here.
Oh, was that Tom?
Yeah, I'm just logging in now.
Okay, great. Tom Bunker is here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we could take that one up if that's all right. So we'll do item number 3 under new business, which is a review of request for Title V variance for 30 Sand-Dollar Lane. Glenn, could you give us the background information for this one, please?
Sure. The project entails a tear-down rebuild of a 3-bedroom dwelling. A new septic system is proposed to service the new dwelling. The existing septic system is located 44 feet from the salt marsh and closer to a coastal bank, and it is a gravity conventional system. The proposed system is a singular denitrification system that's located 78 feet from the salt marsh. The new system's a substantial improvement over the older existing system. There are several variances required for the new system, one of which is a property line variance where the abutters had to be notified. But I'll let Tom review the variances.
Okay, would you like me to share the screen? I can point them out here. Pull up a drawing.
And Tom, if you could just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Yeah. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with BSS Design. Jeff Ryther and I BSS Design prepared the plan. Of course, Jeff Ryther, our engineer, stamped the plan. He does these, but he couldn't be here tonight. Let me get the drawing up first. Here we go. Okay. As Glenn was mentioning, this is the existing conditions. Just to show you, the existing septic system is down here. It's undergone several repairs and changes, but it's down, you can see down there on elevation 9, pretty close, 44 feet to the salt marsh. This house and garage are being torn down. I have on the next sheet the proposed, you'll see the septic system is gone, and what we're proposing is the new septic system up much higher. It went from elevation 9 to under the ground at elevation 21. It'll be under the driveway in this location.
I got one here. Okay, I got it. I have one here. Okay.
Hey, Tom.
On the next page, I have...
Tom, hold on one sec.
Sure.
Hey, folks, can you mute your phones, please, if you're not actively participating right now? Thank you. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's the overview of the site. I have a little zoomed in part of the plan here. A lot of the site was vacated. The garage was moved to the left to be attached to the house to make more room for the septic system. This parking area is held up on a retaining wall. You have the septic tank in this corner of the retaining wall that includes the singular 960 advanced treatment unit. This is one variance. It's only 7 feet from the garage slab in here, but this tank is 18 feet. I guess I go down the list here. The SAS is less than 10 feet to the road layout. Down here, you see the road layout right here. One trench is 4 feet, so it's a 6 foot variance. By the way, this is so the system consists of a 10-foot trench, a 20-foot trench, and a 30-foot long trench fed out of a distribution box. It's a gravity feed system. And they do get equal flow as the 10-foot trench comes out of one outlet from the D box. 20-foot long trench takes the flow from 2 outlets, but then that flow is combined to go into the 20-foot trench. Then 3 outlets from the D box, the flow gets combined and goes into the 30-foot long trench to equalize, through the 3 trenches. So the SAS is less than 10 feet. It's only 4 feet from the street line. 7 feet. The tank is 7 feet from the garage slab. That would be a 3-foot variance, 3-foot reduction. Water service. We have the water service coming in from the street, and it put it on the far side of another short retaining wall right here, sort of as more protection. But that is still just 6 feet from the SAS. There'll be a 4-foot reduction in separation. There are others. I mean, the closest to property line is 5 feet. In this location, this trench is 5 feet from the property line, that's the closest to a property line. But the 20-foot trench is 7 feet from the property line, and then the 30-foot trench is also 7 feet from the property line. We do have 10 feet from the garage slab, and then there's an inner foundation wall. So we have 20 feet from the leaching to that foundation wall, as there is a mechanical room below the garage slab in the lower level of the house. The last variance, of course, is to the wetland, where it had been. The old system is 44 feet. This system is 78 feet from the salt marsh to this corner of this one 10-foot long trench. Those are the variances. That's the request. I'll take any questions. I'll bring that down, up the share. I'll take any questions.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation. Maybe I missed it. Did you have a comment sheet for this one like usual? I didn't see it for this one.
I don't think you received it. I didn't have any other issues with this. My recommendation was to approve as presented, with the condition that the singular treatment unit be serviced according to an operation and maintenance contract per the DEP general approval.
Okay. That's great. My fellow board members have any questions?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Okay. I'm just trying to get all the surveys, stamps, and all that. Okay. Okay, yeah. Well, that's a pretty typical condition that we would put on these, so I think that all makes sense. Someone like to make a motion on this?
I could read my recommendation again if you'd like.
Yes, please.
To approve the septic repair design plan with the condition that the singular treatment unit be serviced according to an operation and maintenance contract per the DEP general approval.
I don't know if that's,
You can make that motion as presented if you'd like, proponent.
okay, that's what I was gonna make sure if that's okay to do it. I'll make a motion to approve the Title V variance request for 30 Sand Dollar Lane with the condition as presented by the health agent.
Okay, we have a second?
Artie, we can't hear you.
I'm gonna move. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
You're all set, Tom?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
I'm taking up now. Oh.
All right, so we do have a scheduled hearing at 6:15 for review of the draft sewer connection regulations. I think it's 6:15. I believe we did receive a copy of those regulations in our packet, so.
And I did have comments on this. You should have gotten comments from me on this.
Trying to both of these at the same time here. There we go. Okay. My apologies. Yeah, wrong one. Draft sewer regulation. Okay. So do you want to just give a quick background on where this regulation originated and where what the foundational text is, Glenn?
The template that was used was from Chatham, and from the Chatham Board of Health, they have a sewer connection regulation, and the original regulation. The original regulation was original down to letter F. I added letters G and H regarding the check valves and town engineer review and any new criteria for connecting to the future sewer. So everything else was pretty straightforward from the town of Chatham. I did change letter D a little bit because there were different criteria that I think the board could use if they so choose on the connection of the innovative alternative septic systems. My comments kind of go through the draft regulation on a section-by-section basis.
Okay. Let's see, definition of exceptional burden.
I think we need to at least have some idea of what some of the hardships that may come before us, so we can have an idea of what conditions to put on that. It doesn't have to be a definition. I just wanted to kind of think that out a little bit farther to, if we're going to extend deadlines for people to tie in, we want to try to figure out what the hardship is or what thresholds to put in to meet certain criteria on having people tie in at a later date.
Right. I know the town of Barnstable has come across this a couple times. They're working through the Strawberry Hill neighborhood, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And I know there are some folks on private roads in that area that have, I know of one particular section where there's a private road, and there's one lot toward the front that would be connecting to the sewer system, but they have to front the money basically to put the pipe in for their whole private road section, something to the tune of like $100,000, which they could then avail themselves when they're required to hook up. So I know that the town of Barnstable has, I don't know if they have a defined process. I know that these are things that but they have a waiver request process there, so that perhaps that could be a model if they have some language to that effect.
Okay, I'll look into that.
And then maybe, I maybe ask the Judy Giorgio if what cases that they've had and had to review and what criteria they've used. Some good examples.
I'll check with Scott too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Scott was helpful with the other forms for the extensions.
Right. Exceptional burden is an interesting choice of language, given the typical language in Title V is manifest injustice. So, which has a fairly well-defined set of criteria that go with it, or at least a set of criteria that have been litigated at one point or another. So, I don't know if it makes more sense to utilize that language versus new language of exceptional burden, but that might be something worth considering.
Okay.
Connie, Ernie, do you have comments?
Yeah,
Questions?
I noticed the town engineer stated those wording on the last sentence. Do you consider that, Glenn, needed, or are we okay?
On subsection 2B,
Subsection 2B, it was, sentence should be earlier, not later. Is
Right.
that something that we should be looking at? Are we good with what you laid out?
oh, the way that Chatham had it, they had it written as later. That was not,
Oh,
so, but I think he's looking at trying to get people to connect up earlier, the 30 days of transfer or 1 year.
okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Wonder on section H there, new and repair designs of Title V septic systems shall include design criteria to facilitate future connections. Do we want to, because that would effectively, that would be a broad brush that would apply to every property in town, correct? With that particular language, do we want to restrict the scope of that requirement to those areas that are included in part of a sewer phase that has been sufficiently advanced through the process of approval and funding?
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. It makes sense, like, particularly phase 1, phase 2.
Right.
But phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, I don't think it's necessarily as applicable in those areas.
Right. Yeah, because it's unknown if those areas will ever be done. So yeah, I think it makes sense to limit that to approved phases.
Yeah. And maybe that could piggyback off of the same language that Title V uses in terms of what you're allowed to do for deferring a sewer connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I don't recall exactly what the language is there, but I know that there's a component to that requires that there's some funding behind the approved.
Well, if we allow interim measures to be done, like if we allow a system to be upgraded or repaired in the meantime prior to tying in, we can have it done at that point. And that all that really can be done on the extension agreement, which the board would have to review and approve anyways.
Right. Design criteria. The other question I have on letter H there is we're just asking for that to be included as part of the design, or would they be constructing some sort of an appurtenance for connection, eventual connection, doing like routing a pipe around to the front of the house, or having that installed when the Title V system is replaced or installed? Or are we just saying put it in the design?
Well, kind of both, I think.
I would say then clarify that so that it's clear that it's shall include design criteria and installation of piping, to facilitate future connections.
Okay.
Because it makes sense if they're replacing the Title V system, and let's say it's going out of the back of the house, it's a good time to put in that, to route something around to the front, I would imagine, when you're in the process of doing that. So.
Okay. Yep.
Comments from the board?
I don't have any further ones.
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Since this is a public hearing, technically, right? We posted this as a public hearing, right, Glenn?
That's correct, yeah.
So if there is anyone who would like to, any members of the public who would like to make comment on this particular issue, please feel free to come forward, unmute your phone, state your name and address information, and then make your comments.
Hello.
Look at the chat.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. This is the Board of Health meeting, yes?
It is.
Hi. My name is Arden Russell. I live on Sturgis Lane, and I do have a comment about the proposed regulations, specifically about the proposed deferment for people with alternative systems. I think we're all aware that alternative systems do not reduce nitrogen anywhere near to the level that sewer systems do, and that different systems remove nitrogen at different levels. So I think the proposal to defer them for 10 years is too broad of a brush to paint for all systems, and that there maybe should be a particular targeted amount of nitrogen that they must meet in order to be deferred, rather than allowing just every alternative system to be deferred. Additionally, as I learned at the Select Board and Board of Health meeting, Many of these systems are in houses that allow them to have additional bedrooms. So in that case, we're providing very little benefit to our environment with that alternative system. So in those cases, I would disagree with allowing them to have a deferment because they are not assisting in improving our environment at all. We as a community are going to have really difficult decisions to make in order to repair our embayments on our lakes. We have missed the point of protection, and we have moved on to needing to repair. And so I think that deferment of IA systems that aren't performing sufficiently is not going to assist us in achieving those goals. So those are my comments regarding this proposed guidelines. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Okay. No, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that comment. I think maybe it would make sense to add an additional set of criteria. I mean, we do. There is a section in there that says owners of said system must prove a history of compliance and operation and maintenance of the system as contained in the Board of Health and DEP rules. So perhaps that would be a good location to add some sort of removal performance criteria, though I'm not sure how best to define that criteria. And I think that sort of falls into the broader context of some of our other discussions that we'll be having in terms of requiring systems in parts of town where sewers are a long way off. So that would be my on that. Any thoughts from my fellow board members?
No, I think I'm in agreement with how you stated it, Brian.
The only comment I have to that is that the Sewer Commission has asked that IAs not be given a deferment at all. And that's one of the options as well. And I just want to let you know where that's based on. So if the board does that, then there's no other threshold, there's no other review. The properties get upgraded at the same time. That doesn't mean that if an IA had just been installed at a property that an owner can't come to us under Section C and explain their exceptional burden, and the board can certainly review that at that time.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
We haven't had time for the Sewer Commission to give a full review of this. The town engineer has seen it, so I think that some of the other town departments need to see this, and now they can comment fully now that we've had a public hearing, and then I can run those comments through the board. So if you want to continue this to the next meeting, we can send. Certainly, I can update you as I receive comments.
Is the next meeting enough time, Glenn?
Well, again, in my comments, I said that this regulation does not have to be put in place for quite a while. We're obviously pretty far off from sewers, but we do need to do it relatively soon so people understand their responsibilities when it comes to when sewers are available. So, but I don't think this in the month or coming months, it's going to be critical to be done. So I think everyone's going to have a chance to look at it.
Okay. Yeah, we can continue to the next meeting, and if we need to continue it again from there, I think that's perfectly acceptable.
The public hearing was required because it is Title V based, and so it was published twice in the newspaper in order for people to see it. But I think everybody is going to have a chance to comment on it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Somebody else was trying to call in the other room.
Oh, okay.
So do we have a motion to continue?
Brian, hold on one sec. I think we're going to get another phone call on this.
Okay.
Hello, is there anybody there to comment on the sewer connection regulation? That's what they were here for? They were here for that? Okay.
They said the screen says to call that, the whatever number. They're trying to reach us now. I'm going to just transfer them in here. What's the extension? Can I do that?
No, you can't. He's got to call it directly.
I told him to call it.
I know. Have Justin take that other number down. Hello?
Hello, yes, I'm trying to get into the Board of Health public comment.
Yes, this is the Board of Health meeting. You have a comment on the sewer connection regulation?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
You have another person on the line as well.
Okay. Sir, if you could just state your name and your address, please.
The address is 207 Hoopley Road.
Okay.
You have another person on the line.
Sir, if you could just...
Go ahead with your question.
My question is that I would ask the board in making these regulations to find a way to consider the context, the full context of reaching lower nitrogen levels, which would include, for instance, temporary use housing, vacation housing, which may only be used 2 or 3 months out of the year, because if the same nitrogen levels, which would include, for instance, temporary use housing. Somebody is already asking this question.
No, go ahead.
And I think it's actually my brother. Okay, I'm calling from California. He's in Wellfleet. Okay, I'll defer to his question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm calling from California. Oh, no.
Yes, who's...
Sorry, I'm hearing myself actually. So my question is the full context of a nitrogen use or nitrogen increase is a question both of the absolute flow through any system, but also the use of the house. So I'd just like to make that point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. I'll sign off now. Bye.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes. Your name?
There's one. My name is Susan Dangle. I am at 762 Catuit Road in Mashpee. I'm part of the Save Mashpee Wakeby Pond Alliance. I just wanted to mention the point about the fact that on fresh water, it's phosphorus that also needs to be mitigated in the sewering, and the IA systems, as I understand it, do not move any phosphorus out of the way. So for those people living on fresh water, I think that the IA system should be prohibited.
I believe that's why the sewer commission is asking for them not to be continued, so, as in the sewered areas.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else for the sewer connection regulation comments? I would say that's it, Brian.
Okie dokie. I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. So I think we've got some edits to make to this, a little bit more deliberation with some of the other town departments, some information collecting to do, and then we'll have to get back together for another review before final approval and then posting. Are we required, Glenn, to have a second hearing on any final regulation?
I don't believe so, because the posting has been done for this hearing.
Okay.
There's still the requirement for the regulation to be published, and that is the, okay.
Okay. Yeah. To me, I mean, and I don't know when this will be taken up again, but given the extent to which this would impact a lot of folks in town, I think once we have a final set of language, I think it would be worthwhile to have another public hearing despite not being required to do so at that point.
We can certainly do that.
So, okay. Prapani and Ernie, are you satisfied at this point with this discussion? Shall we move to continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Ernie, I think you're still muted.
You're muted, Ernie.
How about now?
You're good.
There you go.
I'm on or off? Maybe I better leave that thing alone. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay with it. I'd like to see it continued. I think we're probably going to be continuing this more. But I also agree with the, another public announcement of it, basically.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we continue the draft sewer connection regulations to our next meeting.
That'd be
March 3rd.
March 3rd, yep.
There you go.
I second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good. Here, let's take it out. There we go. Okay, up next, under new business, item number 4, review of request for Title V variance for 24 Jaffan Road. And if you could give us the background information for this one, please.
Okay, a variance was submitted and is being requested to allow new foundation and on an addition to be constructed within 10 feet of an existing septic tank. Distance of 6 feet will be provided. The floor plans and the site plan have been provided and reviewed. The board has granted this variance before with the condition of a liner on the new foundation to provide the full 10 feet of protection. Chuck Scherer, the owner, is on the call, so he can explain further if you'd like him to.
Okay. Chuck, if you'd like to, please feel free to unmute yourself and just state your name for the record, please.
Hi, everyone. Chuck Shearer, 24 Jaffan Lane. Yeah, thanks for getting me on your calendar here. We're looking to add a small addition to a small house, just to give us a little more living space. We're looking to put a slab foundation on where the new portion would be. As you extend the property line out, right now the septic system is about 13 feet away from the current foundation. By extending it out the way we want to go, the concrete septic system itself would come within about 8 feet of the slab, and the stone around it would make it about 6 feet, I believe, from one corner. It's sort of a kitty-cornered septic tank. So the closest corner would be about 6 to 8 feet. Furthest away corner would probably be close to 10 feet, 11 feet. The pumping lid would be about 9 to 10 feet away. Yeah, new foundation.
I don't have much for questions on this. Do my fellow board members have questions?
I don't.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. And Glenn, as you said, we're putting an impervious liner in between, as is typically required.
That is typically required, yep. I had the recommendation to approve the variance with the condition that a liner be provided on the new foundation to provide the full 10 feet of protection.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion on this? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, give me a minute.
Sorry. Sorry, I got hung up, so I'm trying to grab myself together.
Give me a second, Andy.
Sure.
I'm trying to locate something myself.
Do you want me to read my recommendation again?
Yes, please. I was just trying to grab myself together. So I think when you made a comment, I couldn't hear it. It just hung up on me. So.
I recommended to approve the variance with the condition that a liner be provided on the new foundation to provide the full 10 feet of protection.
Thank you, Glenn. I can make that motion, Ernie, unless you want to take. So I think I'll just kind of do what we did before. I make a motion to approve the request for the Title V variance for 24 Jaffan Road, as presented by with the condition presented by the health agent.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty.
Okay, I just want to let you know, Chuck, the requirement for the septic inspection is still there because that's a Title V requirement. Actually, it's also a local Board of Health requirement too, for the addition. So that this is, but your variance is approved, so you don't have to move the septic tank.
Oh, good. Thank you. We did have a Title V done within the past few weeks.
Okay.
And that should have been submitted. Do we need another one after the addition is done?
No. I haven't received it yet, that's all. Just make sure the septic inspector uploads it.
We got it. It's the one Bill Harvey did. You said it was in.
Yeah, Bill Harvey did it.
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, that's right, we do have that. Yeah. Yes, Bill Harvey in January. I'm sorry, that's correct. That will suffice. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night. We'll go up under old business, review of tobacco sales violation for 135 Main Street, Omar Inc. I believe that the last time we met, we had made a couple of requests for some additional information, that being some sales receipts to demonstrate that the product was in the stock at the time that the older violations were sort of around the time of those, while there were some consultation with the Barnstable County Tobacco Control Program. I think those were provided, and I think additionally we asked that the products be provided to the health department so that we could have the opportunity to physically inspect it ourselves as Board of Health members. I know I myself, have you received both of those items, Glenn?
I've received the invoices for the Graba Empire cigars that for 2019 and 2020, and I did forward those to the board, and I did receive the product today, and Ernie was able to make it in and take a look at it. But I definitely recommend that both of the other board members do that before making a decision. And we have not heard back from Bob Collette yet, because there was some confusion on the way that the inspection form was listed as Graba Empire Leaf versus the Graba Empire cigar. I think that needs to be clarified before the board needs to, before they make a decision. So I think those other items need to be done before we have you make a decision.
I think that makes sense, and I'd just like to I would just like to thank Mr. Graba and for providing those materials as we requested. Thank you very much. But I do personally feel I'd like to see the product myself to get a better what we're talking about. So I'll try to. I think that's two things for me to come in and sign some expense warrants and take a look at this product. So I'll try to do that before our next meeting. But I would like to just briefly open, Kripani or Ernie, do you have any immediate questions? And then I'd like to give Attorney Mills an opportunity to...
I don't have any.
I think I'm good.
Okay. Attorney Mills or Mr. Java, would you like to make any comment at this time?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Agent Harrington. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I don't want to reiterate what we went through last time, and I think Glenn kind of clarified some of it. So the violation indicates that Mr. Java was carrying the Graba Empire leaf for sale, and it has, after that, in parentheses, blunt wraps. So this, I think, and I showed it to you last time, this is a full tobacco leaf, okay? This is a Graba tobacco leaf. I don't know if you can see that on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you.
My client has never carried this, okay? We brought this for purposes to show this is what the violation is for. This is something that we have never carried, okay? So we could make that available to you as well, Mr. Chairman, because this is what the violation notice references. What we were. Would you like to see that, members of the board, Mr. Chairman? Or?
Yeah, if you could provide that to Glenn, that would be helpful. Thank you.
We don't carry this, so we had to go and acquire this just for purposes of showing this to the board. So what we did carry was the fresh Graba cigar, and this is what we gave to Mr. Harrington today. And it's a cigar. It says it's a cigar on the front of it. It says fresh cigar. And you'll note that one of the reasons we think it's unfair to violate Mr. Java and Omar Inc. specifically is because of the historical confusion. And Mr. Chairman, we did briefly talk about this at the last hearing. I think I even referenced some of your comments, which I think maybe perhaps you didn't think they were relevant. But let me just try one more time to explain to you why they're relevant. The comments from 2009 that you made and others made at that time, including Mr. Harrington, is this whole notion of blunt wraps. And fast forward almost 2-3 years later, that is still the issue, the definition of what is a blunt wrap. There is no definition of blunt wrap. And, your regulations say that no person or entity shall sell or distribute blunt wraps in Mashpee. Okay, well, what's a blunt wrap? Your definitions say that a blunt wrap is any tobacco product manufactured or packaged as a wrap or as a hollow tube. Okay, that's important, hollow tube. Made wholly or in part from tobacco that is designed or intended to be filled by a consumer, you or I, with loose tobacco or other fillers. This cigar is already compacted, and all you do is light it up. You don't do anything to it to hollow it. If you want to try to hollow it out, you could, but that's not what it's designed to accomplish. You're supposed to just light it up and smoke it. And so it really doesn't meet the definition of a blunt wrap, and that's what we're being accused of violating. The other thing is that, for point of clarification, we did, Glenn, I hope you got them, we do also have the invoices from 2021 as well that were attached to the submission today. So we have ordering invoices, reconciliation statements, and invoices of Grava cigars that we have acquired since February of 2019 up through July of 2021. So, and there had been a few inspections between that period of time, and all during that period of time, he had always carried that Grava cigar. And I think that's where we were saying it was unfair, to violate him for something that we've had on display. Actually, even had it on display at the initial meeting after the tobacco regulations were adopted in 2019, the spring of 2019. Mr. Collette said, no, you can't carry the Fronto leaves. And he had Fronto leaves. You can't carry the Fronto cigars. So we didn't do that. And we had the Grava cigars at that time, but that wasn't found to be in violation at that time.
Even in 2020.
And in 2020 as well, the following year. So, anyway, that's. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but that's where we are. We will get the leaf to you. You've got the cigar. If there's anything else we can provide to help with this situation, we'd be glad to. Do you have anything, Mr. Jaffan?
Well, that's it. Okay. Because last time the board asked about the invoices, we were provided.
Well, directed to them. Yes.
Hi, everybody at the board. Good evening. In the last hearing, the board advised us to provide the board with the invoices so that they can establish as to whether we were carrying the same product or not. And we have already submitted those invoices that proves that we had been carrying it since 2019. And when Mr. Bob Collette was there in November last year, we removed the product and we returned it to the vendor. So I would request you to please consider it today, and relief should be awarded to us.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you much. So I thank you for sending the receipt. I think that does, to me, there are two pieces to this. During those consultations with Bob Collette, were you told or not whether those products should be there, which clearly, based on the receipts, you had the products there, so you were not told at that time. I think the only remaining piece for us is to inspect the products ourselves to assess whether, as through a common layperson's position, are these products, could they be construed as a blunt wrap? That's the only thing that I want to make sure of. And please understand that part of this is we have to be careful about what we set for precedent in terms of other tobacco violations from other vendors or that type of a situation. So I just want to make sure, no matter how I feel about your particular situation, that we've done our due diligence to make sure that we clarify some of the issues and deficiencies with our regulations. So that would be the remaining pieces to me. The remaining piece of this to me, before I think we could render a decision, is for Kripani and myself to go and physically inspect the products ourselves. I mean, obviously, if we were in person, we could do that tonight, but this is the Zoom world right now. And then I think at the next board meeting, I think we could resolve this matter. Like I said, I think I personally have a good piece of the information. I just want to make sure that I have all that I need.
Let them know, yeah. Okay. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Java has to go visit his dad in Pakistan, so he won't be here, but...
I'll be coming back on the 1st of April.
1st of April?
Yeah, I'm leaving on the 22nd.
Well, what would you like us to do? Would you like us to proceed without you, or would you...
It's up to you. I mean, I'll leave it to the board members and to you.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Do you want?
Yeah, you can request to continue to a later date. I mean, it'll just.
So we can talk about it later.
Okay. All right. Let me talk with him. It may not be necessary for him to be.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
But I'll leave.
And then, as a matter of course, as well, I would like us as a board to take a look at our regulations so that we can hopefully clarify some of these issues for future matters. Obviously, that doesn't impact this tonight, but I think as has been pointed out a couple of times, the definition of blunt wraps I think is somewhat deficient, and I would like to take a look at those regulations at a future meeting to see if there's any clarity that we can bring to some of this type of a situation so that this wouldn't occur again. So that would be my final comment.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So do we have a motion to continue?
I'll make that motion that we continue to I guess you would call it an agreeable time when
we want to say for the next meeting right now, and then if they want to adjust it, they can.
I thought I was hearing that you might want to extend that.
We're not opposed to continuing it to the next meeting. If we need to, we can request a continuance.
I'll make that motion to continue hearing to the next meeting.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Signing off. You too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We're going to go to item number 3, which is a review of appeal of fines for White Lion Baking Company. Glenn, if you could give us the background information on this one, please.
Okay. Okay, White Lion Baking was contacted. Liz, are you on?
I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
White Lion Baking was contacted because they failed to renew by January 1st, or the end of the calendar year. So the order letters were sent, and the most recent letters with the fines that the board issued at the last meeting. And then Elizabeth Miles, the owner, contacted the Board of Health regarding her late renewal of the food establishment. And Ms. Miles explained that she was in the process of moving and did not get her emails from Permitize to facilitate the renewal process. The bakery did continue to operate from January 1st to the present. The renewal fee will be $1,100 based upon 7 days of fines and including the double fees as a late charge. But Liz is on the line to explain further her situation and her hardship.
Hi, thanks for taking time for me, and sorry about earlier, I couldn't connect on my computer. Yeah, basically the end of December, I was told to leave the rental that my 15-year-old son and our 2 cats were in, and we had until February 1st. And so basically, December 23rd, we closed retail down at White Lion, like we do for a couple of months every year, and work the wholesale end of things. And it obviously gets much slower because, no retail, it's not summer. So I pretty much let my staff deal with the bakery while I scrambled to look for a place to live for my son and cats. And didn't find a place. So I have an Airbnb right next to the bakery for 2 months. And we may stay with a friend after that, but I'm not really sure. But my point is that it was one of the most stressful times, and I didn't look at my, I didn't open my mail. I didn't look at anything. I was just dealing with that. And I got back into the bakery about a week ago. I got 2 letters on the day that I went to see Glenn. I saw the green on the outside, and I was like, I better open these. Open them, and I was like, I've got to get down there. And I talked to Glenn. So I'm back in the swing of things. My head is in the game. I'm clearing up the mess, and I apologize. I've been in that space for 9 years. I think we just celebrated 9 years over there. I think I've been late probably once, but I really try to be on time because I know that it's really important. So just wanted to let you know that I wasn't just blowing everything off. I was just in a bit of a crisis. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. This is listed on our agenda as a appeal of fines. Are you in fact appealing the fines, or are you just providing additional explanation?
Yeah, I would love to appeal the fines. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Do my fellow board members have any questions?
No, I don't.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Glenn, can I ask what the standard renewal fee would be?
$200 for the establishment. So double fees as a late fee, which is what we have as standard for not renewing by January 1. The renewal process started actually November 1st. So that's when the first renewal email went out. So this process, it does start early enough to, I know things may have changed in December for Liz, but we do try to start it earlier than that.
This is Liz. Absolutely. And I got that back in November, and I was like, yep, I'll renew it in December like I always do. And then, stuff fell apart. So, I mean, I'm obviously open to paying the double, that I was late, but I'm asking for forgiveness on the $100 a day part.
Okay. Options. Just putting these out there. We could uphold the renewal fee as Glenn outlined, which would be $1,100, which is based on a $400 double fee plus 7 days of fines at $100 per day for a total of $1,100 renewal fee. So we could uphold that. Another option, as we've used in the past, specifically relating to tobacco, was to temporarily stay the fines unless there were another violation within a certain period of time. So that could be another option. So if there were a late renewal, then these fines would come back into play. I think that could be a workable solution. or, as I said, we could just maintain the fines as is. So.
I do have a question, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Liz, how quickly, or are you in the process of renewing the permit right now, or how soon? If you're not, then how soon can you renew this permit?
I actually went online the day that I saw Glenn. I think that was last week, and I put in the application for it. So I filled it all out. I think that you guys review it and then you send it to me with a bill is how it works, if I remember correctly. But I haven't heard back from that yet.
Right. We have not set the fee until this meeting determines what the actual renewal fee will be. Once we do that, the application has been put in online. So once the board does that, we'll go in tomorrow and set the fee, and then Liz can pay it at that point.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on this one? Motion could be either to reduce the fee, pay the fee until another violation, or a motion to deny the request or deny the appeal. So we have to do at least one of those.
I'm always quite careful on understanding these type of situations because of so many others out there, and it's the same thing happens. And we got to be, in my mind, we got to be real careful how we pursue, finish, or complete, or accept this in which way. So I'm having trouble thinking about it, which is the best way to go here. So I'm sorry, but that's how I feel right now. I'm a little bit concerned about setting any precedent, unless Glenn will give me a little better feeling that it wouldn't. That's my comment, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not sure if he was speaking to me. I apologize. I had a really difficult time understanding. So I'm not ignoring any questions. I just can't hear.
Oh, I don't think he was making a statement more so than a question.
Didn't make any statement. I made it clear that these types of things might come up, and we're going to be just a little careful on how we handle it. And I agree to all individuals. So how the board feels, well, let me hear the other comments.
I do feel that I think kind of keeping it level field at this point. I think that it would to do the double fee and have the condition that if she were to have another violation in another set amount of time, then she should be paying that additional fee for whatever the violation might be. I don't know if Ernie's okay with that, or Brian, you too, but I don't know if that's possible to combine the both.
Well, just to throw something out there, if it's going to be any violation, it could be a food violation. It could be, is it a priority? Is it a priority foundation or a non-critical? So it gets a little stickier if you're going to do it that way. I would probably recommend doing it the way that Brian had said, to either to add it on to a renewal, because then it's an administrative violation rather than a food violation. I think it's tough to mix those two together. I did have a recommendation, if you want to just look at that, but that's my 2 cents for the way that the chair had explained it.
Well, I guess, I don't know if Ernie has more comments. I guess I don't want to move forward with the motion.
I think that, you know, Brian has correctly given me enough information, and so haven't you, Capone. So I'm feeling good with Glenn's comments. I don't think I can make the motion and get it proper. So it's I could try, but if you would do that, Capone, that would be good.
Okay. So I guess, I don't know if this is okay, but I guess I would say that make a motion to issue a renewal permit fee of $400 for the violation made the failure to renew the permit for White Lion Baking Company at this time. I don't know if that suffices.
My advice in terms of an amendment would be to that's the route we want to go. We would also need to address the 7 days of fines. So we would also have to move to rescind the 7 days of fines at $100 per day if we wanted to just say it's double fees. But they're two separate.
Okay. So do we need to do two motions for it? I can add on to.
It could be both. It could be moving to issue double fees at $400 for failure to renew the permit, and to rescind the fines of 7 days at $100 per day, as indicated in the letter dated. What was the letter date, Glenn? January 26th?
Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's the January 26th letter where you said that they had until 4 p.m. today.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll amend my own motion, and so amending my original motion, I make a motion to issue a renewal permit fee of the double fee, which is at $400, and to rescind the $100 per day for the 7 day fine for White Lion Baking Company. Is that okay?
Does that sound good to you, Mr. Chairman?
I would only add the qualifier that this decision is based upon hardship.
Okay. Due to the hardship that Ms. Miles has faced.
So do we have the motion complete?
I believe so, yes. Thank you.
And I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very much, Liz, and please be on the lookout for the next renewal process when the emails come through.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
Can I just ask Juan, Juan, are you on? Juan Marshall, you there? Okay. Hey, I just wondered what what topic you're here to talk about.
Yes, bye. Thank you.
Liz, thank you.
Here,
so much.
listening, and also here for 100 Great Neck Road in Mashpee.
Yeah, we have that property in executive session, so that's not going to be an open discussion. So I apologize. I didn't know what topic you were here, but we can't talk about 100 Great Neck because it's not on the agenda for the open session, just an executive session.
Okay, Rob Mills, he asked me to join in. We thought that it was going to be.
Okay, no, it's just the executive session. Sorry, it's not on the open agenda.
Oh, you have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Sorry about that.
Item number 4, review of appeal of fines for JMB Septic LLC. Glenn, if you could give us the background on this one, please.
Yeah, that's for Josh Barrows. He had to work tonight, so he's requested a continuance.
Okay. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to continue the review of appeal of fines for JMB Septic LLC to the next meeting.
I'll say.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okie dokie. Item number 5, discussion of Title V failures in the Phase 1 sewer project.
Okay, this is, I'm really going to revert back to the Santuit Pond project just for a moment, or actually for this topic anyways. At the December 16th, 2021 meeting, board members discussed the imposition of daily fines for property owners who had not fully complied with the order to pump or inspect their on-site systems as part of the Santuit Pond survey. Board members agreed to impose fines of $100 per day, and as part of the deliberation, further agreed that property owners should be given adequate notice that fines would begin accruing on January 6, 2022. Due to staffing issues and the surge in the COVID cases at this time, the fine letters weren't mailed out, so we weren't able to give the owners notice. Additionally, during the review of the recorded meeting, it was noted that the motion did not accurately reflect the board's intention to impose daily fines, and instead issued a single $100 fine per property owner. In an effort to correct this oversight and to appropriately observe the board's wishes to give notice to the property owners in advance of the fines beginning to accrue, we are bringing this back before you. Fine letters are prepared and ready to be sent via first class and certified mail as soon as the board determines the date on which fines will begin accruing. The board has several options. You can impose fines retroactively to January 6, 2022, if you choose, since the property owners in violation have had many months to take the appropriate action to comply and received written notice that fines would be imposed. You can impose fines beginning today, or you can impose fines beginning March 1st, so property owners will have time to receive the letters that will be mailed out tomorrow.
Okay. What is the feeling of my board members or my fellow board members?
Again, I get troubled. And here we are, and having, beyond the time that the board should have taken some more prior boards than up to us. Should have been moving along and getting to this difficult part, in my view. And now here we are with, the sewers being the big issue and coming. But the perception is, we're getting sewers. What people don't understand is it's a long, long time away. But so wasn't all these problems going on a long, long time ago. Now we're going to set fines. Well, I guess we're in a pretty tough situation because if we don't, it's just going to get worse. So, what's fair? I wish I knew what was fair. Because I know people that have put out thousands and thousands of dollars to bring up their systems. Some people in order to sell, and some people because they just got it done because they know what was failing. Boy, I'll tell you, guys,
Thank you.
If things flowed a little better and the problems were taken care of as best as they could be along the way, and then boom, everybody knows we're getting sewers. That's nice. Would have been, moving right along. But it didn't. It's a tough situation. Here we go, But if we don't do anything, and we don't find, then we're not moving along either. So, what's the fine? What's the fair fine? I wish I could clarify that in my mind.
Do you have a count of how many properties this would impact? And I don't recall at this moment. I don't have the information in front of me.
What was the question?
How many people, how many letters?
I think it was
7?
7.
Yeah, 7, I think, Brian.
It was 17.
All right. 7 houses. We've got kind of a mixture of people who did the inspection but didn't do the pumping, and some did the pumping but not the inspection, and some have just not done anything.
That's correct. And we gave them plenty of time too, because at the January 6th meeting, the board said that as long as the work was scheduled by January 6th. So we actually had additional time to wait until the inspections were submitted, and as long as they were scheduled prior to that, we honored that. So I think that's an important date, because the board did set that kind of as the drop dead date to either have the work done or scheduled. And we've figured that out.
Yeah. No, I personally think we've provided adequate time at this point. It's an order of the Board of Health. To me, it's just when do the fines start? Folks always have the opportunity to appeal the fines, just as we've seen this evening, if there are hardships or things that we don't understand. But unless people reach out to the Board of Health to identify those issues, what choice do we have? We have no other recourse but to proceed with the assumption that they are neglecting to do what they've been required to do. So, kind of where I am. I think an awful situation. I agree. And, at some point, it just has to move along. I think it is what it is, with it. They could appeal them if they want to, but.
My phone went dead there for a bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you miss what I said? You just saw my.
I did. I don't know what happened. It just went dead.
Oh, okay.
Got shaft.
No, what I was saying is, I believe we've given these folks adequate time at this point to comply with the order of the Board of Health. We've given multiple opportunities for them to comply. My opinion would be that we do need to start fines, and if folks have extenuating circumstances that would change the scenario, just like we had with a couple of cases this evening, they have the opportunity to appeal those fines to the Board of Health. But at the same time, I don't think it's good to leave an order standing without having follow through, which was, stipulated. So that's kind of that's my thought on it.
Well,
I understand, I do.
If you go back to the January 6th date, that's 40 days. So at $100 a day, that's a $4,000. So if you want to give them notice, we can do it from this meeting, give them notice, and have the $100 a day until they comply. And that way they've received notice, but the fines will accrue once they receive it.
But if they don't sign the green card?
Yeah, I mean, if it's based on receipt,
yeah,
got to take some kind of action. They can't just sit on it, It's just not the way this works. So,
right there are some neighbors that know who those people are that didn't do anything, and we've heard from them. So,
it's just not fair to the people who complied with it, and
right.
So,
yeah, I do agree with that. I think we've given everyone reasonable time to come forward or take some action towards moving with this, and I think the notice of fining upon the day of receipt seems perfectly reasonable at this time.
That's why I appreciate the understanding. I feel the same way at this point.
So do you want to do it upon receipt of this notice that we send out tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. That's 2/18/22. Okay, then I make a recommendation that the board impose fines of $100 per day to any property owner who has not fully complied with the order to pump and inspect their on-site system as part of the Santuit Pond survey, with fines to begin accruing on or upon receipt of the notice of February 18th, 2022, and until full compliance is met.
okay.
Sounds like a good motion to me.
Yep. if you would like to not have to repeat that, I'm willing to just say move as presented.
Yes. I think I did make it.
All right, I will take that. I will take that as a motion. Then, do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 6, which is the COVID-19 update and also discussion regarding masks in schools. Glenn, which would you like to start with?
Well, I'm going to dispense. You received the COVID update, correct?
Yep.
Well, I'd like to dispense with a reading of that because there's really not a whole lot of new information on that. We're keeping up with all the standard COVID meetings and conferences, and the one thing that we had which you got notice on last time, was the booster clinic of the 23rd, which we're still not having great participation with. So we don't know if that's going to happen. But that's the only real new things as far as clinic or testing that we need to talk about. The masks, I think, are something we should cover now.
Okay. Why don't we take that off then? So it's my understanding that, and Glenn, would you like to kind of update us on where we're at with this?
I sent you my comments just for time. I think the school committee has reviewed this, and they're looking for our guidance. There is a subcommittee that has come up with a mask policy, which is also a policy that was sent around to many of the schools, and I think that that policy should be upheld and supported by the board.
And the petition. Tell them about the petition. The petition.
Do you guys feel you're familiar enough with what the upcoming changes are? You've seen the presented new policy, which in summary is, and just so that we fully understand, is to follow the state's recommendation, which would make mask wearing in the schools voluntary rather than mandated. Am I correct in that, Glenn?
Yes. I just wanted to let you know, too, that there was a 200-person petition that was, it was actually made for the school committee, but it was sent to us as well, in order for the school committee to lift the mask mandate. So I just want to let you know that there was some public participation for the school committee, which was also forwarded to us.
Okay.
But you're correct that the face covering essentially follows the state policy.
Right.
And the date for that?
The 28th.
February 28th.
Yes.
Yes. So there will no longer be mask unless they follow the state's total regulation. In other words.
Correct. So masks would no longer be mandatory in the school unless the state were to reinstitute the mandate, or the school committee or the Board of Health were to reinstitute a mandate based on conditions. I personally feel at this point, I would like to see it continue slightly longer to get us past the school break week, to get us 2 weeks past that. But I think, February 28th is, that's what the state has decided was sufficient, and they're the experts in this area. So I would be, I suppose, remiss if we didn't follow their guidance as them being the experts. So.
Well, I, for one, have said very long how I felt about this issue. And I'm personally, my opinion personally is that it's time for this to take place.
And as I said in October when we last took this up, I said that I felt like we were getting close to this situation. Obviously, we had a pretty significant surge of cases during the month of January following the holiday breaks. But I think at this point, as I said then, we were getting close, and I think this is as an appropriate a time as any for us to start to think about some sort of normalcy again. I don't think this pandemic is done with us yet, but based on current conditions, I think it makes sense.
I've had concerns about the fact that we have winter break. People do seem to travel. We don't know the other states' conditions that other people choose to travel to. So, as somebody who is part of the school system, that is concerning to me. I've kind of did my own survey. You know, most students are, happy to get rid of the mask. Some are not, as they are concerned about family members who are immunocompromised and stuff. So, of course, it's a voluntary deal, that if they choose to wear their mask, they're safe to do so. I know some teachers were concerned about the fact that, yes, there were, the winter break that is coming up, and people, if they're choosing to travel, then are we going to be concerned about the cases rising again? And I think that was a bit of a concern of mine as well. And then the other part was also that where are we in regards to the distancing portion of it? We're getting rid of masks, but how is the school moving forward in regards to, are we still practicing safe distancing? Are we not? How do the seating arrangements get changed moving forward with the mask mandate as well, getting lifted? So these are questions that do kind of fall under not only the school committees, but also ours as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, I
would like to go ahead.
No, I think those are really great questions, because these are questions I would ask myself, and I have kids in the schools. So how are those other things going to change? And Glenn, I don't know if you have a sense from the school what the plan is for the distancing requirements, the ventilation requirements. I know a lot of the classrooms they've been going through the winter with the windows open, and does that change as well? Will that stay in place? I know at recess classes aren't allowed to commingle; they have to remain separate. Does that change as well? Or are we talking about basically removing all potential mitigation members and mitigation factors and letting this go? I know. Nurse Stacy Skakel was thinking of coming on this call. I don't know if she's here. If you are, Stacy, please feel free to speak up.
Hi, it's Stacy. I actually cannot answer those questions. I believe right now we're doing one, the math piece, an issue with school committee. So I'll have to defer to them and Patty for that. But as you know, school committee is scheduled to review the proposed policy tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, what
I do. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's proposed now is just the face covering. So I would say that none of those other mitigation measures that are in place have changed, because the DESE has not issued any changes, DPH has not issued any changes or guidance on that. I would say that is just the face covering policy, and that's all that was covered. There was nothing else that mentioned the social distancing part of it. So I would say that none of those other mitigations have changed except for the masks. That's the only thing that's being addressed right now.
I think I think this is a bit of a question for Nurse Stacy as well. She's still on the line. In regards to the vaccination part, we have in the comments or even the decision from DPH or whatever, they do talk about individuals that are still unvaccinated to have their mask on. Now, within the school system, I know this is confidential information, but do we have the individuals that are vaccinated or not? Because let's face it, it's a school. We're working with young adults or young kids who aren't necessarily truthful in the situation. So if their friends are maskless, they're going to choose to be maskless even if they're not vaccinated. So how do we deal with issues going forward with students like that where they're unvaccinated and they're going to want to be without a mask.
So again, the draft policy, which I believe everyone has received and has been sent out and on social media, says for unvaccinated, DPH encourages, but it is not required. So that is how it's not being changed to that. It's not a requirement. So again, individuals who are not vaccinated are encouraged to mask, but it is not required.
Okay.
I think we know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Glenn, you do have some comments here about extracurricular activities, in particular the sports where students are in very close proximity to each other.
Yeah, I just thought that there may be an opportunity to add that as a requirement. We've had conversations with the school before about how the sports by far have had the most spread and affect the most kids. Where the testing program is in place and surveillance has always been the key to stopping the spread, I think it may be an opportunity to get the kids in sports or the extracurricular activities where they are within close proximity to each other, and exercising, if you want to include that. I think that's maybe a time now to where if we're going to be taking the masks off or allowing them not to wear masks, that the additional surveillance be done.
And I see it's stipulated as a recommendation. Is that not within the purview of the Board of Health to require that particular?
I'd get that clarified. I'm not sure. That's why I put it as a recommendation of the school committee, because it's certainly within their purview. It may be within ours, but the last time that we tried to get involved with altering the schedules or the games, council's opinion was that we did not have the ability to do that. So I would probably lean towards that we don't have that ability, but when it comes to infectious disease, it is definitely, I think, within the board's purview, but with the sports where they're extracurricular seem to come under an exception, so.
Oh, okay. I don't necessarily agree with council's opinion on that. If we can quarantine an individual to their home due to infectious disease, then I personally feel that would be fittingly within the purview of the Board of Health, but maybe we just keep it as a recommendation for now.
This is Nicole Bartlett, the chair of the school committee. Sorry, I was a little late getting on. There were a lot of events at the school tonight. Yeah, I just caught that last conversation about the activities. Are you guys aware that the MIAA also lifted the masking requirements in accordance with the governor's order?
No, I actually wasn't aware of that. And for reference, you're talking about the Massachusetts the insurance company, basically, for the school?
The athletic association, so all the sports.
Okay.
They basically put the same schedule in place in terms of effective February 28th. Masks are optional.
Okay. Well, guess we'll see how it goes. All right. So then I guess we would be voting this evening to to support the school subcommittee's policy? Glenn?
Yes.
Wait a minute. We're going to support the schools, what? What about the governors?
No.
We're going to vote to allow the school to change the policies that are going to come out on the 28th. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. So the governor's mandate or the state's mandate holds until February 28th. Current school policy does require separately from the governor's policy. So the school committee, and Nicole, please feel free to jump in, would be voting for or against, because they haven't held their meeting yet, to modify their policy to the draft language that was presented via email.
Yeah, that's correct. This revised policy that you're looking at is updating our current face covering policy to make it consistent with the governor's policy. So we're basically, I mean,
were these policies held in a public session?
Well,
were these
all of our
in a public session?
Our meetings in a public session? Yes, they are.
Answer my question, please.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, when was the public session?
You mean when? Well, our policy, the current one that was in place, was adopted back in August, which was a public session, and then tomorrow's meeting is the discussion of the policy you're looking at.
Okay, so tomorrow, you want me to think about or talk about or ask about policies you're going to come up with tomorrow?
No. You're looking at we're asking for your guidance on this draft policy, which will be discussed and voted on tomorrow.
They're asking if we support or not the draft policy, and the recommendation in the draft policy is that the masks become voluntary. So do we support or not that the masks become voluntary? We don't have to say whatever the school committee comes up with after. We can say we support the draft policy as presented to us. I think they are looking for our support in moving forward with that.
Okay. Does it differ from the governor's information policy or the 28th decision on what takes place? Does it differ?
No.
Not to my knowledge, no. I think the draft language was provided by DESE itself.
Well, I think my problem is you're asking me to talk about something that they're going to talk about in a public session the day after we talk about it, and I don't have all this information that they're going to bring before a public session tomorrow. It don't work.
Ernie, I believe.
What?
I believe that they had a school committee meeting last week to discuss these new regulations that DESE and CDC had recommended. So I believe that they had this draft policy come up. We have our meeting today. We discussed it. So I think technically that's when their public session from the school had happened. And now we're here discussing that this is their draft policy and if we're in support of it or not. And they're going to bring it up in their tomorrow's meeting for, I believe, would be their final approval. Please, somebody correct me if I'm incorrect.
That's correct. Ernie, Ernie, I forwarded this email with the policy to you.
I know you did. I know you did. But I'm not getting this whole public meeting tomorrow. What if they decide to change it or something?
Well,
We're supporting the draft.
That's up to the school committee if they want to do that, but they're looking for our guidance to say that the policy that we have before us right now, which is a face covering that was developed by the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, which they're using as their basis, and also the governor's basis for lifting the mask mandate and making them voluntary. And there's 5 bullets to the policy, and the policy says a face covering that covers nose and mouth is strongly recommended to be worn by individuals who remain unvaccinated or are otherwise immunocompromised inside school buildings, even when social distancing is observed. Vaccinated individuals may wear a face covering that covers the nose and mouth in the school if desired. Students and staff returning from a 5-day isolation following a positive COVID test or a quarantine post-COVID exposure must follow strict mask use other than when eating, drinking, or outside, and conduct active monitoring for symptoms through day 10 of isolation or exposure or until COVID symptoms resolve. And that's state guidance, which we've been using for all people who are sick or exposed. Masks will be required in school health offices, medical waiting rooms, and in-school COVID testing locations. By federal public health order, all students and staff are required to wear a mask on a school bus. And that's it. Those are the 5 bullets that are in this policy.
Did that provide any clarification?
I'm sorry, Brian?
No, I'm asking, Ernie, does that provide clarification? Or I'm just trying to get to the heart of your concern. That's all. But we're not voting to accept whatever the school committee does tomorrow. What we're doing is voting to recommend this draft language as what the school committee adopts. This draft, not any changes to it. We're recommending that they do this.
And we're following the guideline that you just quoted from the governor. That's what
Ernie, can I clear up your doubts just a little bit? I think your concern is about the public session, but the superintendent did on February 15 send out this draft policy that we're looking at right now to the public. They did send it out to parents, teachers, students.
And so what was the 200 people then? What was there? What were they?
I don't think they read.
They agreed with this?
No, they so Ernie, I think the petitioners did not read. Basically, that's what this comes down to, is that they saw masks and said no without reading what was actually being presented. So they signed a petition saying they wanted kids out of masks, despite the fact that what was being proposed was removal of masks. That's the lunacy that's going on here, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any more comment.
So this doesn't require masks except within the health office, which I think is completely reasonable. The rest of the school, they are optional for all students, unless you're in the health office or you have been tested positive and you're within 5 days or the end of the quarantine period, which I think is totally reasonable. So what I would like to do, and I just want to move off of this subject and move on because it's getting late. So I'm going to make a motion that we support the school committee draft policy, which is dated, or the school committee draft face covering policy, dated February 10th, 2022, as presented to the Board of Health, and without exception to what was presented.
I second that motion. Or, yeah. I guess I'm seconding that. So.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye. No. Aye.
Okay.
You jumped on the other before I said it. You said aye, you said aye. I say aye, okay?
Oh, you said aye. Okay. All right. I didn't hear you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nurse Stacy, and thank you,
Nicole.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Let's see. I believe our last agenda item for the evening, with the exception of executive session, is a review of housing violations for 58 Buccaneer Way. Glenn, are there any updates on this situation?
Yeah, the board needs to take some action. The final abatement order was issued, and it's been 14 days since the final abatement order was issued. So at this point, where we have not been called back to do a compliance check, the work is not done and has not been inspected by a health agent. So at this point, the board must now issue an order to clean the property by the town. And in this case, a contractor will be obtained by receiving 3 quotes to remove the debris. The draft order letter I did attach to my comments, and it's the same letter that we used to do a clean out on a condo in Deer Crossing, if Brian remembers that. And council calls this letter the demo notice, which is which will be sent out after this meeting, now that the 14 days are up. So I just need a motion from the board to have the health agent issue the demo notice to start the process to have the town abate the nuisance.
Can I be heard? This is Linda LaMagna.
Yeah, yes, Linda, hold on. I'm just still giving my comments. Hold on.
Okay, all right.
Please continue, Glenn.
So that, you have my comments.
Okay. Linda, if you would like to.
Okay, I tried to send an email to, and it wouldn't go through. It was an email where I'm requesting reasonable accommodations of disability. And this came up today because of a conversation I had with my therapist this morning. And I don't really want to talk about this in public. It involves confidential medical and disability information, but I am disabled. Most people don't know that. I get Social Security disability benefits, and there are reasons that are directly related to my disability that have slowed down being able to get that done. I have continued to work on it as best as I can, but the issue is that I need to pay somebody, myself, to put that stuff into storage. And I have to pay the movers and I have to pay storage. And I'm not able to do that right now because of a disability-related complication that my doctor and my new lawyer are working on to resolve. And as soon as that gets resolved, I'll be able to pay somebody to put it in storage. In the meantime, there's no animal activity out there. I've been very careful to watch for that. There's nothing like that. And what's in those boxes, it's almost all China or fishing tackle supplies. And the fishing tackle supplies are primarily metal, nylon, plastic. There's nothing out there that...
So we forego the description of the contents. I think we've been over that a few times now.
Right.
And what I really want to know is what is the progress that has been made? How many boxes have you been able to remove since we started this discussion?
I have been able to remove more than half of them. The problem is the basement door is broken, and the landlord and my husband and I had agreement that basement is for storage.
Linda, we're not going over the basement issue. The basement issue is a separate issue.
Okay, but that has to do with how fast I can get that done. If that basement was available and the door could be opened, I could put a huge amount of that down. I'm not talking about the boxes.
That material never should have been brought to the property. And
what's that?
Because the material never should have been brought to the property with that basement not being open, because you never knew when that was going to get fixed.
Okay, but I was under the assumption that my Social Security checks were going to be coming in time for my disability to pay for these expenses. But there's a holdup right now that is directly related to my disability. And the holdup is this. My husband was my rep payee. I don't know if any of you know what a rep payee is, but a rep payee is something that sometimes a disabled person will have a rep payee appointed to receive their check for them. And my husband was my rep payee. So when I lost him, my Social Security benefits stopped. I still have them, but I'm not getting the checks because they cannot send it to the disabled person if they have a rep payee. They can only send it to the rep payee. So right now, Social Security has told me that I need a letter from my doctor, and I need her to tell them that I no longer need a rep payee. And when I get that letter, they're going to lift the requirement for the rep payee and give me all of the back Social Security in one lump sum. And when that happens, I can pay for storage, I can pay for movers, I can pay to repair the basement door, I can pay for the illegal plumbing to be repaired. I can do all of that at one time. But I have to wait until the rep payee requirement is lifted by Social Security, because until then, they will not give me those checks.
Well, the only way to stop this process right now, Linda, is for you to appeal this in Superior Court, because this process has been going on long enough, and none of this applies to this situation.
Well, so it does because it's a disability issue.
No, because you certainly brought that material there, and that material needs to be removed just as easily.
And I had no choice to do it. It was either that or it was going in a landfill. Well, I just lost my husband.
That's where it's going.
And I had no choice but to do that. And I have been working as hard as I can to get this done myself without any help at all from anybody. And I'm 65 years old. I'm 5 feet tall. And, the weather has been horrible. And I have been doing every single thing I can. I've called the Needy Fund. I've called everybody. Marty at the Needy Fund yesterday suggested that I contact all of my elected representatives to see if they can help me with this, to see if they can get someone to help me with this. I mean, I could solve this problem in one day once I get my back Social Security disability benefits. But I cannot do anything like that until I get those benefits. It's not possible. I can't. And I feel like I'm being penalized because of this problem caused by the disability. It's directly related to why I haven't been able to get this done. Directly related to it. It's the cause of it. And the reason that this came up today is because my therapist and I had a discussion this morning, and she told me, urged me to cut down the level of stress in my life because I'm at risk of being hospitalized again.
That material,
and everyone knows I was hospitalized. I was hospitalized in November for suicidality and shock.
Well,
and my therapist this morning told me that I'm at very high risk for that happening again, and she wants the stress level brought down.
I have to cut the discussion here. I apologize, but board has to make a decision on this, so I'm gonna close this part, and the board is going to deliberate at this point. So we'll receive no further.
I'm asking for more time to get the Social Security.
Linda, they've closed the discussion.
So I can do everything.
Linda, they've closed the discussion.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well,
that's what I just said. This discussion is closed. The Board of Health will deliberate amongst itself, but we have received all the comment we're going to receive for this evening.
Okay,
so I would like
all right.
to,
Well,
thank you.
Well, okay, bye.
Do we have any comment from my fellow board members on this particular situation? I believe the recommendation at this point is to move forward with abatement.
She hadn't meant, if this is a disability coming from November, she didn't mention it at the initial hearing, if this is what she wanted to go with. So I think that, yeah, we should move ahead with the abatement because this is not going to get moving forward. We're only concerned about the boxes that are still out there, given the ups and downs with this weather. And we're just waiting for the warm weather to come around to have the bugs come out and start crawling through that too. So, she might talk about no animals or anything, but I think the bugs are also that concerned there, and things are breaking down regardless of what the material might be. And she's going to continue this because we don't know when the disability thing is going to come around. So there's no way in pushing this further.
Yeah, I legally don't understand the veracity of the claim of disability, so that's outside of my wheelhouse, to be honest. And I apologize, Ernie, please.
Well, that's something that if she appeals through Superior Court, I'm sure the court will give her all the time to discuss that kind of if that disability is applicable to this situation or not. But the board has already voted that those boxes out there are a nuisance, and the board has to take action to that. If not, that's going to come back on the town.
Ernie?
I think we've reached a point where we've got to make a decision here tonight. We're going to go forward.
I agree. We have a duty to abate the nuisance. We've made attempts at that to give her the opportunity voluntarily to abate the nuisance, and at this point, we have no choice but to move forward with, as you call it, the demo order. She has the opportunity to appeal that in Superior Court.
Absolutely.
If she so chooses, but at this point, to me, it's just time to move this forward.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And I can make a motion to have the health agent issue the demo notice to start the process to have the town abate the nuisance at $58 a year away.
Okay. We have a second.
Yeah, a second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn.
All right.
Thank you more than you know.
You need to, I think we're done here unless you have anything else. A vote to adjourn public session and go into executive session with a roll call vote, not to come back into public session.
So this vote is just to end regular session.
And regular session, enter into executive session. And then I believe at that point, Ernie, you're able to abstain.
Okay.
I move to adjourn public session and go into executive session without returning to public session at this time.
I'm sorry, second. Those in favor by roll call?
Aye, Kripani Patel.
Aye, Ernie Vigilio.
Aye, Brian Baumgartel.
See ya.
Bye, Ernie. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.